Hey everyone, welcome to our LP movie club where we'll be talking about Morbius. Um, just kidding, this is Marvel Time Live issue number 85. You don't have to endure a discussion about Morbius, although I will share some brief thoughts a little bit later. How are you, Benji?
I was good until you brought up Morbius.
Yeah, believe me, I'm just sharing a little bit of the pain I've been feeling since Thursday, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. Like I said, in the meantime, let's talk about comics from this week. We have 5 issues we are going to talk about. So let's start off with Strange number 2. This following, again, the story of Clea becoming the Sorcerer Supreme after the Death of Doctor Strange event. What do you think?
I didn't love it. And I mean, it's funny because Jed McKay wrote it, and I really liked his other comic we had this week. So I guess it's, there's this thing where it's like, I am powerful, I will fight you. Like, it was a lot of fighting and a lot of necromancy and just sort of, it felt almost like a 60s comic where like it's just that's what it is and didn't really sort of progress the story really. So I don't know, I thought it was a little just a little boring.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think in terms of like the big story arc, that this is a little bit slow. It doesn't progress it a whole lot. But I will say I think Clea is a very interesting character. These 2 issues we've talked about, that I mean, has probably doubled the amount of stories I've read about Clea in my life.
Right.
And getting to know her has been interesting, and especially in this context, I think there's a lot of story to be told with this character. And I think the stage is set for something really interesting. We have sort of this battle with death being the potential big bad, but then there's also something else going on that death is more preoccupied with. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff happening here. It just doesn't really happen in this issue. It's sort of set up for the future more than anything else. So I enjoyed it, but I'm with you. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite issue of the week for sure.
Well, and I think that's part of my issue is that I wanted to get Clea more, get to know her better.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond what we, Death of Doctor Strange, you get the sort of top level, like,
Right.
what I am. But I felt like for an issue 2, I still kind of wanted to get her inside her head a little bit more. And it's hard to do that when she's just, sort of those sort of anti-hero characters when they're fighting, like when a regular hero is doing it, it's like, I don't want to do this, this is why I'm doing it. Like, you get a little more justification. But like when it's just, I am powerful and I'm going to beat you because I want to beat you, how dare you insult me kind of thing, it's just not as entertaining to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, maybe we'll see this character open up emotionally a little bit more, allow us to, attach ourselves to Clea in the future. But yeah, hopefully that's the case because I do find her interesting on the surface, at least. Let's move on to our. Oops, I have these in the wrong order, so we are going to jump all over the place here now. We're going to go to Devil's Reign number 6. The finale of this crossover event. I will say this is my pick of the week. And I had saved this for the end, but here we are talking about it number 2. So yeah, really, clearly I really liked it. I thought, this is sort of, it did wrap up quickly, it felt like. And maybe that's because it has been several weeks since we read issue number 5. But things kind of came to an end quickly, but it came to an end beautifully with a whole lot of action and some really memorable images that I think will be some of my favorites for a long time. So I definitely enjoyed it. What do you think?
I really enjoyed it. It almost was my pick of the week. It was my pick of the week until I read another comic later.
Sure.
I thought the Kingpin stuff in it was really good.
Yeah.
I think the sort of setup of the next phase here. I think Matt. I mean, it's a trope, but it's okay. Matt kind of wanting to kill him and not really doing it. Although you still haven't seen the body. I think this sets up some interesting things for Daredevil and Elektra going forward, Luke Cage going forward, the Purple Children or Purple Child at this point. So,
Right.
it had that way of being satisfying. It's still sort of enough threads that you want to see where these characters go. And not Wilson Fisk will be back because he's Wilson Fisk, but it's interesting to see him just being like, I keep saying these things, and then like now I'm actually going to live it, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, there were some great emotional beats with both Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, and then even with Luke and the Purple Child, I guess is what we'll call him.
He has a name, right? Is it Luke?
Lucas? I don't know. Was it Lucas? That'd be a weird dynamic he had with Luke Cage then.
Right.
But yeah, then there is also this really interesting thing for Wilson Fisk going forward that we won't spoil here, but I'd be really interested to see where this goes for this character. Like you said, he'll be back. He's the Kingpin. He's going to have a role to play in the future, but really curious to see how they get there. So yeah, I really liked it. And like I said, some of my favorite art from this week for sure. Next, we will talk about X-Men Red. The first issue in this new series. This is following the mutants that have come from Krakoa and are now living on Araco/Mars, as they have now terraformed Mars, I suppose. What were your thoughts on this one?
I was disappointed. For number one, I kind of felt like I had no idea what was going on. I like the Magneto stuff. I thought that was really good. The sunspot stuff, I don't know, it's and maybe this was someplace and I just wasn't reading the book, but I felt like we went from terraforming Mars to having a complete built out society and like very quickly. And so it's like everyone knew what their place was there except I didn't, and there wasn't enough exposition to kind of clue me in. As I said, I don't know what X-Men book that happened in, if it happened, but it wasn't one we read.
Yeah, that's honestly, that kind of sums up how I feel with most mutant related books these days. And yeah, I won't say I was disappointed because I come into these with very low expectations, expecting that feeling of not fully understanding what's going on. And it kind of nailed that. But at the same time, I agree. I really like the Magneto stuff, and I think Storm has become the most interesting, short of maybe Sinister and Kate Pryde. I think Storm is definitely up there as far as the most interesting X-Men related characters right now. And going back to Ten of Swords, I thought she was just so awesome there, and I want to see more of her. This issue ends on a really cool note for Storm, so I'm really interested to see where that goes. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It just, again, like I agree. It's not, I feel like I don't have all the information, and maybe that's this sort of disjointed storytelling where we'll get more answers in the future, but it feels like we should have had more context. Next, we will discuss the Reckoning War tie-in. I guess I don't even really know how to describe how this event is happening, but this is Fantastic Four number 42. We had just Reckoning War Alpha, right? Like just basically the Zero title.
Yeah, I think that was like the kickoff, and then we had some tie-ins, like we had the Uatu book, and then I think it's just basically a Fantastic Four story, kind of like what they do with Spider-Man sometimes, where it's like they kick off a story with an alpha, and then it runs in the regular title. I mean, this isn't an event in terms of like crossing over or anything. It's just sort of more Fantastic Four, but
yeah. So this was a really interesting issue. Very heavy. It was not what I expected. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it was very heavy, and I mean the cover, despite the fact it's not necessarily representative of the look of the series, kind of tells you what's going on in this issue. It's really a Thing issue. It gets inside what is going on with him. So I liked it, but I'm almost more interested in the Nick Fury Watcher plot.
Yeah.
There's a little more intrigue there. So, the Fantastic Four, when it works, it's, it takes the cosmic nature of, Reed, but bounces of being a family. So, that does it here a bit, because, Reed's kind of off the scales right now, and
Yeah.
As he does. But I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah, there's a moment in the early going of this issue where you're like, whoa, did that really just happen? And then you kind of see things play out, and you're like, okay, now I understand a little bit better. But aside from that, the story arc that I find myself most interested in, and it surprises me because I don't typically find the Watcher to be a very interesting character, but I really want to see the Watchers, get involved in this. And I mean, after all of this, like, what we never really think of the Watcher as like this all powerful, soldier or like, fighter in any way. So I'm really interested to see what kind of capabilities they have in this story if they get involved in some way. So yeah, I find myself more interested in that storyline, but there are, some big emotional moments for the Thing, for Reed, for She-Hulk as well. So there's some good stuff in this issue.
Yeah, a major callback to like a 20-year-old She-Hulk story, but
yeah. I like that. Yeah, I like that they go that far back. And Dan Slott has been tweeting about how excited he has been to just go way back into the comic history. So definitely delivering on that front. But our final issue, and I guess your pick of the week.
You always do this to me. You take my issue and you make it. You take away all the suspense.
Typically, we end on my pick of the week, I think. But yeah, it's always one of them. But you also said you liked our other Jed MacKay issue from today. So yeah, tell me what did you love about Moon Knight?
It's hard to put my finger on because it's obviously much smaller scale than Devil's Reign.
Yeah.
But it's Moon Knight using his wits to defeat, the sort of spoilery. If you look at don't look at this cover. This cover's terrible. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not. You shouldn't read it. You should read the book first. And solve the mystery, get inside other people's heads. So we're so focused on trying to understand Moon Knight, but here he's understanding other people in a way that's very astute and kind of setting up his next major battle. So I just thought it was well paced. I thought the art was great. A great sort of regular issue. Not it's not an event issue. It's not a major change in the course of the Marvel Universe, 616 universe. It's just a good issue.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I like that it takes Moon Knight in a different light from what we're used to seeing. Like, he is, like you said, he's outsmarting someone here. We're used to seeing him be that sort of walk through fire, punch you in the face kind of superhero, as opposed to someone who has this well thought out plan. I'm not crazy about the villain in this one, the smaller villain, not the big bad, but just sort of a cheesy villain a little bit. But I like that we got sort of this different version of Moon Knight, and yet he kind of reverts back to what we know of him. And again, not spoiling anything, but yeah, Moon Knight is who we think he is. He's a violence, not the right word, but he's a dark kind of superhero. We'll go with that. But yeah, I also definitely really like this issue, and obviously everything going on with Moon Knight right now, I'm all about it. So that is it for our comics for the week, and we will get into Moon Knight. But first, I did say, I saw Morbius. You can read my whole review on laughingplace.com right now. Do that. Just read that. Read the summary of the post-credit scenes. Don't go see the movie. That's where you should just cut it off right there. It's not good. It's what we expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know the answer to this because Lose you for like, there we go.
I might touch the screen button.
I know the answer to this because I know how you feel about this movie before it came out, and I know that you haven't seen the Venom movie yet. So, are you ever going to watch this movie?
Ever? Maybe. I just don't. Life's too short. It's too much content.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time putting something on that I know I'm not going to like.
Yeah, that's
I don't have time for it. It's one thing if I don't know and I go into it, I'm like, okay. But I mean, even when it's on whatever, I think Netflix is probably will go first. It's like, okay, but like I could have watched something else. I mean, like there's Moon Knight. I'd rather watch Moon Knight.
Right. Exactly.
And it's not even about the MCU stuff. I mean, MCU makes it fun, and it's about just being a good movie. And
yeah,
I mean, if you're gonna make a pedestrian Morbius movie, I've seen more. I thought he was handled very well in X-Men, Spider-Man the Animated Series. I've read many Morbius comics.
Yeah,
Dr. Mike. But I don't need to see a bad version of it. Just
right.
I mean, like I think I learned my lesson with that first Hulk movie. It's like just because he's a superhero in a movie doesn't mean I need to see it.
Yeah, very true. And I mean, this is very much along the lines. Like I said in my review too, this movie would be fine if it came out in like 2002, because it was the very rudimentary. Like, here's how a superhero movie works. It's just going to follow that outline and just go. You can watch the first 10 minutes of the movie and know what the movie is, and you're done right there. You don't need anything else. Nothing. There's no twists or turns, or nothing catches you off guard. The best thing about this movie is that it's roughly 90 minutes long. It's not much longer than that. Oh. So at least it was short. So that's a good thing.
Maybe I'll do it the same way I watch Justice League. Like put it on an airplane, put the captions on, work, and kind of
just kind of tune it out and have it on in the background. All right. We won't spend any more time on Morbius because there's no reason to. But let's talk about the second episode of Moon Knight, which this show, it just keeps getting more out of control as you go. And there was some really cool stuff in this episode.
Yeah. I'm surprised Mr. Knight showed up as fast as he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you kind of get we've seen 4 episodes, full disclosure. Yeah. In this episode, you sort of get the feel of what you think this show is going to be about. You're probably wrong, but at least you it gets in the swing. It starts to feel like a real television show,
Yeah.
Our first episode was kind of a prologue. Here you get the idea of what's happening. And, I think kind of transitions into sort of a 3-act, 3-episode sort of adventure that is fun, really gets into what I would consider like a sort of a Bronze Age Moon Knight story. It's going on an adventure to Egypt to find the mystery. And Mark is at least now aware of Steven, and Steven is aware of Mark. I don't know if Scotty's going to show up or whatever. So, I think it gets, and just gives you a chance to just kind of appreciate some of the art direction that the series has too.
Yeah. I mean, this show has been beautiful to this point. But yeah, I'm with you too. Mr. Knight showing up, and the way that they brought Mr. Knight in, changing that up a little bit, this being Steven's version of Moon Knight as opposed to Mark's. I thought that was really clever the way they did that. I really like how they brought him in. So that was really cool. I don't remember if I talked about this last week on here. I know I mentioned it on Zacks of Life. But the whole thing here, this setting up like Khonshu versus Amit, and Amit judges people before they've done their evil deeds and punishes them in advance. And that's very reminiscent to me of Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And that whole debate between Nick and Steve about, I thought the punishment usually came after the crime and all that. So I really like that kind of plays back sort of a very similar story, obviously in very, very different contexts, but pretty cool that the MCU plays off of itself like that. And also,
made me want to watch White Fang.
Made me want to watch Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but I kind of just always want to watch that.
You know what makes me feel old about Moon Knight?
I'm trying to come up with a guess, but I got nothing.
It's Ethan Hawke.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because when Ethan Hawke was in, sort of coming up in like 91 with, 91 with White Fang, and just a few years before that with Dead Poet Society, he was an amazing young actor, and then now I don't want to say he looks bad, but he looks his age, and that age is like 50, and it makes me feel old.
I will say I think they intentionally made him look that way in the series, because when he appeared in the press junket for the show, he looked a little bit younger than what he looks as Arthur Harrow. Although I don't know if he is like one of those super method actors, but the speech patterns and everything very similar to Arthur Harrow. It felt like he was still somewhat in character, so that was really interesting. But yeah, so he's doing an awesome job too. Oscar Isaac doing an amazing job. We get to meet Layla May Kalamaui. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who is fantastic. So yeah, the cast does a really awesome job in this show. All right. So any other thoughts on Moon Knight before we jump into our news segment here?
No, it's just a lot of fun. It's a great reason to wake up on Wednesdays.
Yeah, totally agree. And again, we've seen 4 episodes. I cannot wait to get to what we know happens.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of Moon Knight, as we get into our news here, Moon Knight, of course, also appeared in Avengers Campus last Wednesday. Right when the show comes out, we had Mike and Luke, I believe, in Avengers Campus waiting for Moon Knight, as well as a whole bunch of other people waiting for, I guess, for the moon to come out, because that's when Moon Knight actually took Avengers HQ and hung out on the roof, kind of lurking menacingly up there. But yeah, you can check out some videos and photos on laughingplace.com of Moon Knight in Avengers Campus. The costume is incredible. It looks so good. They do such an awesome job with Avengers Campus and taking what feels like the costumes right out of the movies and the shows and putting them right in front of you in the theme park. So really cool to see that.
Yeah, and I saw him in person over the weekend, and the eyes are just really cool.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a really cool part of it. And now that we, saw this second episode and we know that Mr. Knight appeared, it's only a matter of time until we see him there too, right?
They announced today he will be there too. He's there now.
Oh, awesome. Great. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see some more pictures and stuff later on. Staying on Moon Knight too, there was a really fun Easter egg last week that they are now continuing throughout this series. As you can see in this image here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. But you'll notice on the left, just above the girl here, you got a QR code on the wall. And if you actually scan that QR code, it'll take you to Marvel.com and a link to a free digital Werewolf by Night number 32, I believe is the issue number. And so you can get a free digital comic book that gives you a little bit of the history of Moon Knight. Are you trying to scan it right now? Do you want me to make it bigger?
Yeah, I'm trying to scan it right now.
I don't know if it might be a little bit too blurry. Oh, I can't even go.
Your cursor's in the way. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nice, it worked. Okay. So yeah, you can get a free Werewolf by Night digital comic, which gives you, that's Moon Knight's debut, and it gives you a little bit of the background on this character and what inspired the show. And like I said, they are continuing this Easter egg series throughout the show. There was another QR code hidden in this week's episode.
Oh, what did that give me?
Werewolf by Night number 33.
Oh.
So you just get sort of the next one. I don't know if that's going to continue in that series, if you're just going to keep getting Werewolf by Night, or if they're going to jump to other. I have a theory as to a different Moon Knight series they might jump to with another episode, but we'll have to wait and see.
Pretty cool.
Switching gears from Moon Knight, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness tickets are available now. Actually, that being said, they're probably sold out for opening night already, pretty much everywhere. But you can get your tickets. Marvel also shared 2 posters for the movie, one Dolby exclusive one and one IMAX one, and then a new teaser.
You can't go opening night.
I cannot. Well, we've been trying to work things out, but it doesn't look good. But yeah, there's a new teaser out as well, which is very focused on Wanda, which was really cool. You get to see Billy and Tommy again, which was really interesting that they showed that. So I'm excited to see what happens with Wanda in this movie for sure. And she's even featured in this poster too. You can see her shadow just lurking at the bottom there. Have you gotten your Doctor Strange tickets?
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're working on AMC, I know they've been struggling all day. So, but yeah, you can get your tickets now. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness comes out May 6th, so you can see it on the night of May 5th as well. And speaking of, there's also a fan art contest for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You can submit your Doctor Strange inspired artwork on Twitter and Instagram, and you can win a trip for 2 to the world premiere of the movie. I don't think they've said where the world premiere is. And
it's in Hollywood. I don't know.
It is in Hollywood? Okay. I wasn't sure if they were doing, like a London premiere or something like that. But so yeah, you can win a trip for 2 to see the world premiere of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness with your Doctor Strange inspired art.
That I'm very jealous. I wish I had art skills.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish I was talented. I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I will leave that to my wife. Jumping from the MCU to the Disney parks, we learned Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind will be opening May 27th. Speaking of me not going to Doctor Strange on opening night. So yeah, we learned that this attraction, which forever had been listed as summer 2022, May 27th will be the opening date. We also got a look at, first of all, this artwork is awesome. So cool. But we also got a look inside the queue at the Galaxarium. I've been struggling with that word for a while now. I keep tripping up on it, but the Galaxarium inside the Guardians of the Galaxy mission, I almost said Mission Breakout, Cosmic Rewind queue. And then just today, we got a look at some more images from the attraction. The Nova Corps ship out in front, which we've been seeing as they've been putting that up. But then also the touch points for Lightning Lane themed to Xandar, as well as this Nova Corps insignia located somewhere inside the queue. And then finally, jumping back to comics, our comic-related news from the past week, we've got Demon Days, the Iron Samurai.
I'm sorry, I wanted to say one thing about that. They announced opening date, but they also announced there will be cast, AP, and DVC.
Oh yes,
23 previews. So, it's not, the opening day is just sort of the day it's open to everybody, or sort of their commitment to be open. But this seems like an attraction will have a fairly decently long soft opening period.
Yeah, so you'll definitely hear some thoughts on the attraction before May 27th when it actually opens. Okay. Demon Wars, the Iron Samurai, new comic from Peach Momoko. This is a retelling of Civil War, which is a really, really cool idea. We've talked about Civil War is both of our favorite comic events. So I'm looking forward to this. This could be really interesting. We read one of the first Demon Days comics from Peach Momoko, and it was really interesting, beautiful artwork. This is a story, though, that I would love to see her retelling of.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing except to say, just a beautiful, it's to me, it's great Marvel Unlimited stuff. Like, it's not current events. Like, you don't need to read it right away, but it gets you into gets you into, if you want to take a break from understanding, like everything you need to know is in here. But
yeah, I'm excited to check that out. That'll be July 13th. Demon Wars: The Iron Samurai from Peach Momoko. Also in July, we've got X-Men Legends number 3 from Ann Nesenti, longtime Marvel writer, and we're going to explore Longshot and Mojo a little bit more. So getting into sort of the really wacky, crazy X-Men adjacent characters. Again, this is coming in July. This is really cool. We did the first X-Men Legends quite a while ago now. It's hard to believe that this is only number 3, but yeah, I love that they are doing this, going back to these classic writers and having them revisit the characters and the stories that they told so long ago. And yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to go back and see Mojo in his prime? And finally, another Infinity comic series on Marvel Unlimited, X-Men Green, following the story of Nature Girl, I believe is the name of the character. Yeah, Nature Girl. So kind of funny, this coming out with X-Men Red. We've got X-Men Green. So there you go. And that's available on Marvel Unlimited right now.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that is all of our news for this week. Trying to think, do we have any other Marvel? I mean, obviously Moon Knight's going on. Doctor Strange tickets are available.
There's a new Moon Girl in the Avengers series coming.
Yes, that's right. There was some more Marvel Comics news today. A new Moon Girl and Avengers comic series, which we'll have up on laughingplace.com soon enough. You can check that out. And then
I didn't see Morbius the movie, but I did reread some classic 1970s Archie Goodwin style Morbius stories in Marvel Unlimited.
Wow.
And
Nice.
He's much, it's a lot better that way.
Yeah, can't be worse. So there you go. Morbius is not a character I've actually read a whole lot of in comics. In when he's popped up in Spider-Man comics and things like that, and I remember him a lot from the Spider-Man animated series. But I should explore his comic history a little bit more.
Well, he's interesting too because he was written at a time when like the comic code wouldn't allow vampires, like the undead. So
right.
He was written as a living vampire.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's sort of a way to get a vampire style character without him being dead. I guess is where the line was for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then to further that, if you go to the animated series, he wasn't allowed to be biting people's necks, so he had the hand suckers, where he would literally just grab people and suck their blood out through his hands, or their energy, or whatever it was that he would be allowed to do. As for what I'm doing on Marvel Unlimited, Moon Knight, this is the Lemire, however you pronounce his name, is run from recently, 2017, 16, something like that. Fantastic run on Moon Knight. Highly recommend. No ulterior motives there at all. So yeah, that'll do it for us. A new episode of Zacks of Life is out right now. You can check that out. We obviously broke down the latest, the first episode of Moon Knight, and we did a Academy Awards inspired draft, which was a lot of fun. Check that out.
Well, I got to get it work somewhere. Yeah, great. And we will be back tomorrow, Star Wars headlines. And then Mike's at Disneyland right now, or Disneyland Resort. So he should be getting pictures of Mr. Knight out in the wild fairly soon.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. That should be. I can't wait to see that costume in the parks. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.